it's Sandy with Sandy's Creations. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. If you are a subscriber or you're just watching another one of my videos, or even if you just came across this video, thank you for watching. I am going to be making this tumbler right here. It was inspired by another YouTuber. Her name is Sandy as well, from Sandy's Chaos. And this was just my take on the tumbler. If you have not already, at the end of the video, if you can, subscribe, hit the notification button, and leave a comment if you have any advice, good, bad, whatnot. I love to hear from you guys. So, cheers! Let's get to it!
So I've already wiped my tumbler down with 91% alcohol. I just do that so it takes off any oils from my fingerprints. Basically that's all I do. If I want the color of the spray paint to be more opaque, then I will do a white base first. But in this case, I am not. I'm just using 2 shades of pink and then white at the rim part. And this is just me spray painting it. It does not have to be perfect at all. Alright, and now I'm going in with my second color. This is called Vintage Blush. I am going to be focusing this on a little bit wider scale on my tumbler. I'm just going to give it a rough draft, and then I'm going to go in and make sure that it's fully opaque. By no means does this have to be perfect. By no means, like whatsoever. It's important to do little bursts of sprays just to avoid any type of like drippage from your spray paint. And so now I am going in with my Rust-Oleum, or no, Krylon white. It's a flat white, and again I'm just going to focus this right at the mouth part of the tumbler. And again, guys, with this one, just small sprays until you get the color that you desire, the full coverage color. And I know I said that this does not have to be perfect. But I think my OCD kicked in a little bit. I wanted the bottom to be a little bit more opaque. It actually got covered by the Vintage Blush, so I kind of just wanted to go over that again and give it, you know, a deeper shade. And after your spray paint has fully dried, you want to go in with a pretty thick coat of epoxy. And the reason why you want a heavy coat of epoxy is because you're going to actually heat it up with your heat gun to kind of get it moving. We are going to be using alcohol inks, and with this thick epoxy, it helps the alcohol inks swirl better. So at this point, I've already applied heat with my heat gun, let it spin a few times. I'm going to be going in with Flamingo alcohol ink first. There is no method. You just drip and drip and drip wherever you think you want that color. We're also going to be using Gumball, Fiesta, and the next color that we're going to use is for the frosting on the top, white. Yay! So now I believe I'm going in with Fiesta. I do eventually mix the colors, not too much, but just kind of how like a regular coffee would look. The colors are not just darker on the bottom, so I do mix a little bit here and there. You want to go in pretty heavy with your alcohol inks. The white will kind of separate them a little bit, but you definitely want to get full opacity. So I'm just going in with the white. I'm being one with the coffee again, thinking like if I was cream and where I would want to be. You can see here that the first drop of white that I put on the darker colors, it changed the shade. It's no longer white. So I went back in and retouched those with white just so it can be a little bit more creamy looking. And you can see after I put in the heat how the white drips that I put, they're starting to kind of change the color of the white into like a softer pink, which is fine, but I just wanted to get more of a white look, so I'm going over those drips again. During this part right here, I'm just re-going over, making sure that there's no blank spots. I apply heat and look at how it turns out. And look how pretty the swirls came out. They're so cute. I think I do go in again. I always think that more is better. Sometimes you should just leave it alone. I didn't like that part right there. But anyways, I'm going to be doing drips and you won't even be able to tell. So after this, I let this spin for about 8 hours. In my case, I let it spin overnight. During this time, I start my lid. And for the topping, I use the Quick Set spackle, or Fast Set spackle, dries in about 30 minutes. It's not true. But the spackle itself is already white, but it does have a gray hue to it. So that's why you see me put in a little bit of white acrylic paint and just mix that very well. And what you'll see me here doing is putting down my piping little knob thing or whatever it's called. And I just scoop out all of my spackle in there. Scoop it all in there, cut the tip and squeeze. And if you can see here, I'm just doing like, I'm squeezing and pressing and then lifting, and that's what makes the little spike at the end. Yeah, so this is just how I do it. I put my silicone straw in the middle to keep it from getting the spackle in the lid itself. And so now I'm going to get my, I always want to call it confetti, but it's sprinkles. I got also these little beads from Michael's, and I just start decorating my topper. I want to do it now before it gets too dry. So yeah, watch me decorate. And just a quick note, if you want to see the final end of this whipped cream topper, just fast forward. I'm showing you guys how meticulous and how much I make sure that everything has a rhyme and a reason for it. I don't want to have too many colors of the same in one spot, you know. So if you want, just keep watching this. If you don't want, then just fast forward. It won't hurt my feelings.
Photograph in which we were in love, caught in your eyes, waiting for the sunrise.
And when I'm done decorating this whipped cream topping, I let it set overnight so it can completely dry. Alright guys, so this is her. She has spun overnight. I think I actually woke up, around 4 in the morning. I don't know why, but I went to go turn off my turner, and at that point it was mainly fully dry, but now while I'm making this video, it is 100% dry. I've already made my decal for this. I thought it was so cute to say coffee and mascara, because let's be real. In my case, I also need eyebrows, but we'll see. So that trick I was telling you, I don't know if you've seen my other videos. I just do this because the tumbler itself is tapered. It gets skinnier at the bottom, and if I was not to do these, if I were not to have cut these flaps, the decals would have bunched up and it would have just been a big old mess. So that's just a little quick tip there. Press down every single part of your decal. You don't want any of the epoxy getting underneath it and lifting. Just take that extra step and make sure every part of the decal is pressed down. And I'll just put my cup off to the side while I epoxy this whipped cream topping. I just do a light layer all around in every crevice, every indentation, everywhere. I want to make sure that whenever I do need to rinse this off, there's no holes or anything where the water can get in. So I just go through this with the lightest amount of epoxy, and believe it or not, the top itself, I epoxy it 3 times. So I have to wait 24 hours in between each layer of epoxy to reapply again the epoxy. I just want to double check and always make sure that I didn't miss any part of the spackle. I don't want anything seeping in underneath there. So yes, I do 3 rounds. It takes 24 hours to fully dry. So yes, this is my first round. I think I do the other rounds off camera, so don't worry. you don't have to painfully go through this again.
in which we were in love, caught in your eyes, waiting for the sunrise. I barely even knew who you were. What did you do? I didn't care, 'cause you were
And make sure you use the smallest amount of epoxy each round. You don't want this to be dripping off and mess up the white part of your lid.
times when we slept on top of cars. Now I don't know you, you don't know me too. I remember fleeting times when we watched the sparks so fire. Now I don't know you, you don't know me too.
So now it's time for the chocolate drizzle. My epoxy is still wet right now at this moment. I'm just mixing in some chocolate mica powder into a little bit of epoxy resin, and this is my trick. I add a little cornstarch to it to thicken it up, to make sure that it is the right consistency, because I don't want this to be dripping everywhere. I want it to be pretty thick.
Times when we slept on top of cars. Now I don't know you, you don't know me.
So cornstarch is the way to go. This one I didn't add too much cornstarch to the epoxy. I wasn't planning on using so much chocolate, but like I say, I get out of hand with glitter and sprinkles and anything and everything. So yes, so this is what I'm doing here.
Everybody's on their own. If I could see you now, you would stand out from the crowd, and maybe you would notice me. Then our eyes would meet, I would feel my heart beat. When you looked and smiled at me, back then our love was so strong.
And actually, in the end, I did put a lot of chocolate, yes. And the epoxy does dribble off the side of the cup. And I thought at first, I was like, dang it. But I thought it was a really cool feature that kind of made the cup flow together a little bit better. I'm coming for the cup next, so stay tuned. So I stirred the epoxy with the chocolate epoxy, and it was a little thin for my liking. I want to have control over my my drips, and it needs to be thick. I would rather have a thicker epoxy than not thick enough. So you just see me here playing around with it, getting it to be the right consistency. Yeah, so I think I found the right consistency. It did drip a little bit more than I had originally wanted to, but I think in the end it all works out. I like to coat my rim first very lightly, and then where I want my drips to be, I add just a little bit more and I pull it down. Right there you can see it. See how I want a drip right there. I add that, and that gives me more control over the drips. I'm sorry this angle kind of is not that great, but you'll see. You'll see once it's done dripping. Now the epoxy around the rim of the cup, I will be using my cutter to cut that down. I don't like to have epoxy on the rim part of my lid, so I just didn't want any white peeking out. Now, right here, I let my drips set again for another 24 hours. I'm putting a layer of epoxy over it again, just to secure the drips. I don't want any lifting whatsoever with those. And then after I'm done epoxying this, I let it spin again for 8 to 12 hours or overnight to fully cure. And this is her, guys. She is so pretty. And like I said, those drips that came down from the whipped cream, the chocolate part of it, it looks like it's supposed to be like that. I really like it. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe and hit the notification button below so you don't miss any videos from me. Y'all enjoy your day. Bye!